Probably the most difficult decision in any business is the decision to let go staff or to reduce the size of your workforce. And that decision, I would imagine more CEOs have labored over that decision than almost anything else, with the exception of shutting down entirely. And no, it shouldn't be your immediate reaction when things tighten up, but it's definitely got to be a consideration depending just how much of a service delivery versus a product-based business you are. But when you start contemplating the decision to downsize, you've got to understand what the implications are of fewer bodies or fewer resources are to the ultimate delivery and quality of service delivery to your customers. It may not be the answer. It may be that you are experiencing a decline because it's a quality issue in the service that you're delivering, and therefore maybe you need to possibly throw more resources at it in order to get that quality where it needs to be to get that revenue back to what it could be if you were delivering at the level that people expect. It could be that technology, rather than a revenue decline, is probably more of a factor in what should determine the size of your workforce. Absolutely, you might change your footprint. You might re-examine the workforce company relationship. There possibly are things within your labor contracts that some changes to those could address some of the shortfalls you're having as a result of your belt tightening. And sometimes I've seen that very successfully discussed, where you actually negotiate with your workforce to make a few compromises, and then you don't have to let anybody go. You can manage through that with your group as a team and come out stronger on the other end. Companies shouldn't get caught by surprise in terms of optimizing their workforce or optimizing their product and or service delivery. In a previous conversation, we talked about benchmarking. I must tell you, I'm a big believer in benchmarking. I've seen benchmarking translate in one-to-one cause and effect or one-to-many cause and effect in terms of improvements to the bottom line. And if you're in a business where you are serious about it for the longer term, if you're not considering what it costs for you to deliver your service or to drive customer growth as it relates to what it costs your competitor or your peers, then you probably are going to run the risk of getting caught offside at some point in the future. Things like that should not be a surprise. If you're constantly refreshing your understanding of how the key drivers of your business are working within your business, it's going to come out of the numbers for you. And there are going to be early indicators whether there's going to be a tightening of the revenue because of fewer clients, reduced demand, increased competition, or whether there's going to be the advent of new technology that your competitors have put in place that put them in a better position to deliver the same service, greater access to suppliers. You should be aware of your environment. Yeah, firstly, you've got to do it humanely. And that means you've got to communicate effectively when it is time for you to communicate. And you've got to not do it with a broad brush. I see companies do it where they universally just go equal parts across the organization, or they offer blind voluntary downsizing without having a good idea of who's going to accept that, and then find themselves in a situation where people that they had hoped wouldn't accept it have accepted it, and people that they hoped would accept it have not accepted it, and now they've got a workforce that's smaller but far less effective than either they anticipated or than they had before. The normal approach I've taken to downsizing, and one that I've advocated with a lot of senior executive teams, and often with great success, is you take your organization chart and you remove all of the names and you build the organization chart that you expect to emerge with. Once you've done that, then you put the names in boxes. In many cases, it's obvious who goes in which boxes, and in some cases it causes you to really contemplate who goes in those boxes. But essentially you build an organization chart independent of the people that are in the organization. But once you've gone through that exercise, you realize you've built the organization that you think you need to have, and then you take that and overlay your existing organization chart over top of that, and it's very revealing what you come out with. It sounds cold, but it's actually very cognizant of who works for you, because in order to do that well, you should know what the skills are, what the habits are, and what the strengths and weaknesses are of the people who work for you if you're going to do that effectively.